Previously on
BRINK is a first-person shooter. You can play it by yourself. It's 8-player co-op. You can go online and get the full experience. Making a multiplayer game that has a strong story narrative. We are social animals. Multiplayer gaming is the best. Our game is almost like a gateway drug. The human urge to create is very, very powerful because it is all about creating a connection with him. So you take, that's my guy, that's who I'm taking into the world. There's a lot going on with classes. Well, you know, it's interesting. First of all, I'll be the first to admit, I mean, we were all a little bit nervous about actually, kind of taking the brave stance and not just, looking like every other game out there and going for photo real, set in the real world, but actually trying to do something else. But actually, post E3, it's been an overwhelmingly positive response, which is really, really gratifying for our team. And I'm so happy that they stuck to their guns. Even we were all saying, could you make it look more like COD? Maybe just a little. No. Or actually, they'd say it with a French accent because I actually had that really loud, didn't I? Anyway, sorry. They heard it in their homes, your viewers, that one. But anyway, so they stuck to their guns. We've actually created something that's really unique. But the more I think about it, so for the longest time, it's kind of been a goal. It's kind of been a dream of games development. I've worked on Siphon Filter 1 back on the PlayStation, which looked ridiculous. I'm embarrassed to look at it now. But it's been a goal to actually try and get to this photoreal. And technically we just haven't been able to do it, but recently we're kind of getting there now. And I mean, I think that's actually potentially going to signal a change where, okay, we've done photoreal, we've got it. Everybody's done it, everybody's the same. Can we have something new, please? I would not be surprised if in the coming months or years, I mean, we're just basically at the vanguard of a whole new wave of more and more games trying to take artistic license and not look like everything else. Just because it's time, everything kind of goes in waves. For the longest time, the 2D platformer was dead. But if you look over the last year, it's had a huge resurgence, including this week with Epic's game, Shadow Complex. But freaking World of Goo, and I mean, just all these fantastic 2D side-scrolling type of experiences when everybody thought it was long gone. I think the same thing is true. We're going to see more, stylized, unique visions as opposed to less. Okay. Well, it's kind of class agnostic, but it plays into something else. One of the things I didn't mention before, so we have character customization, and you'd expect it means different shirts and putting on different tops and tattoos and all that stuff. All of those choices you make when you're customizing your character are aesthetic, because early on we decided we don't want to say that, oh well, if you wear that top you'll have +5 stealthiness, because that means people feel obligated to wear that top as opposed to dressing the way they want to dress. So all our choices are aesthetic except for one. The body size. By default, when everybody starts the game, they're a normal build, kind of like you. You're a normal guy, you're fit, and it means you're kind of in the middle. Yes, yes. I'm checking him out, obviously. Wow, what a scoop. Sorry. I'm also very happily married. Sorry, girls. Anyway, so the normal body type is what you'd expect. He's the average. He has average speed. With the smart button, he's capable of most acrobatic feats. I mean, I should say what the smart button is, shouldn't I?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Smart button, in a nutshell. In first-person shooters, it's very, very easy to get stuck on stuff. It's very, very easy to get stopped by a 5-foot-tall wall that, I could get over that wall. I'm 40 years old. I weigh 240 pounds. I'm a bit of a fatso. I can make it over that wall if push comes to shove if somebody's shooting at me. But no, not in a game. Sorry, you've got to go half a mile down the road to go around this wall. The smart button is all about just kind of getting rid of invisible walls and barriers like that and just saying, when I'm holding this button down, you better climb me up over that wall, or make this jump from this gap to this gap, because I don't want to have to play the game running around looking at my feet all the time so that I know when to press the jump button at the right time. I just want the jump to happen, thank you very much. So that's what it does. Now, it's very strongly affected by the body type. As a normal guy, you can do most of our acrobatic stuff. You can climb up, the wall, the body height walls. You can slide under the stuff. If you choose to go acrobatic, which is like the skinny, lithe, Jet Li type guy, you actually look very, very different. And suddenly now you can climb up 15-foot tall walls. You can start doing really big parkour stuff. But of course, a strong breeze will knock you over because you're a skinny little guy. You don't have very many hit points, but you're also very, very fast. And on the flip side, you've got the really big guys, the Hulks. Now, they play probably most like a traditional shooter character because they can't make it up that wall. They are too big and bulky. They can still have the total freedom to very smoothly vault over anything like table height. Nothing to slow them down in that regard. So they're still more adept and able than what you'd see in a regular shooter. But you're giving up a lot of that freedom so that you can have a lot more hit points and you can bring out the big guns. To me, it's a really important thing. It drives me nuts. It's always driven me nuts. Ever since Dungeons and Dragons, why can't a wizard use a sword? Is he physically incapable of picking up the sword? I saw Gandalf. He had a sword in the Lord of the Rings movie. I think I read it in the book too. Why? Gary Gygax, why? I'm sure he's a wonderful guy. I'm sure he had, obviously it's a great thing for balancing the game and making interesting choices. But it's always kind of driven me nuts because it just makes no sense. So we don't actually do that kind of class balancing where, sorry, engineers can only use shotguns. Why? Because that's the way it's always been done. Engineers can use whatever weapon they want, provided they're big enough to carry it. So the bigger you get, you give up certain things of mobility, but you get firepower in response. So that's an interesting choice you make in terms of the customization, which I don't know if that was your question, but there's your answer. Oh, sure. Well, we'd already been talking about it, but originally we've been talking about it more as just a means to ensure that it's easier to move around the environment because, we're all about creating this game where when players do finally make the jump online, they can really focus on the killing and not get stuck with other stuff. So that's where we really kind of started from. But Mirror's Edge is hugely inspirational. I really enjoyed the game a lot. Actually, my favorite parts, and I think I'm maybe in the minority on this, my favorite parts playing Mirror's Edge was during those moments when you're being shot at a bunch of guys and you got to run like hell and just make all these jumps and and climb and you have to pretty much do it perfectly the first time. I know they were frustrating for a lot of people, but maybe I got lucky because I normally made it through by the skin of my teeth and they were just awesome. So I love that. But the difference between us and Mirror's Edge is a parkour simulation with a little bit of shooting. We are a shooter with a little bit of parkour. So we have a completely different approach to that. So, which is where the smart button come from. Our stuff is not about split-second timing and perfect total self-awareness. We kind of take care of that for you. Now, with that said, you don't have to use the smart button. If you're the type of player who says, screw that, I don't want the game holding my hand for me. I want to do my own heavy lifting, thank you very much. There's still a jump button and a crouch button, and it's a combination of those two things plus the sprint button that allows you to do every move that a smart button will let you do. And if you do them yourself, you'll do them ever so, a little bit more efficiently. You will actually, instead of the smart button, I'm running, and I'm up and over, kind of a thing, because you up and over. You do it yourself smartly, and I'm up and over. Just so you have that kind of subtle advantage. So there's still something to master for the player who's really looking for that. But if the player's like, I'm not here to become the greatest free runner in the world. I just want to shoot some stuff. I'll learn that stuff later. That's what the smart button's there for. We're definitely, to me, that's a really, really important element in all our level design, that they are not just carbon copies of each other, that we come up with as many new and interesting opportunities for combinations of all the tools that we have. So you will see levels that are very vertical, which is always kind of a dangerous thing to do in a console shooter, because you don't have a mouse, but screw it, we're doing it anyway. You will see levels that, like the one that's in the demo, are very tight and claustrophobic, and just a series of corridors that every once in a while open up to a slightly wider corridor. And you will see areas that are a bit more wide open and have the big empty spaces that you got to run like hell across and dive for cover because there are guys who are defending the area. So you'll see a lot of variety both in the level design and the actual actions you have to do, including actions you haven't seen in a first-person shooter or a team-based enemy territory style first-person shooter before. That was actually a PC running. Good of you to ask. Nobody's ever asked before. Everybody just kind of assumed because we had the 360 controller. But we are actually working on all three right now. It's just for E3, the PC had the best frame rate. But we are definitely working night and day to ensure total parity across all three platforms. Although it's obvious the PC will always be the best because you can make it better by just throwing another couple $1,000 grand in your box. Well, they can. I'll be honest. Of course they can. Again, you can't throw a couple more $1,000 and just say, oh, sorry, your system specs are higher. I mean, it puts limits on you. But honestly, in my own personal experience as a designer, putting limits on you is a good thing because it means you actually do have to work towards a target. Everything we're doing, all the screenshots we're releasing them with tech that is fully within the capabilities of the PS3 and the Xbox. So I mean, we're not scrimping for those at all. All I'm saying is it's likely the PC will be even nicer. But I mean, you should not expect a compromise in quality from what you've seen from us when you're playing on console. I certainly don't want there to be because I'm a console player first and foremost. Everybody wants to get on a good thing. I mean, we're blazing the trail. Obviously, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but at the end of the day, I do tend to think that we're kind of the 800-pound gorilla or elephant or whatever it is that everybody else needs to watch for because, we don't have a 2 or a 3 on our name. We're actually offering something new, which, I mean, I think at the end of the day, if we get the message out, which is why we're here, players should be coming to us because they want to see something new. I'm still excited about all the other games, too. I mean, I'm actually very good friends with the lead designer on Bad Company 2, and they're coming out a few months before us, and so we've got a little side thing going on between the two of us. Hey, Dave.